Keith Herman, an associate professor of education for the University of Missouri, followed a group of children from first grade through middle school.
The purpose of the original study was to follow a group of predominantly African American children in first grade in the Baltimore City Public School System from first grade every year. And I was looking at the question mainly, do the findings that I've had about how children develop depression apply across cultural contexts? And we found that the findings do apply across groups of children, and the main finding being that early academic problems as early as first grade serves as a risk factor for children becoming depressed later in life.
Herman says poor performance in first grade can predict depression in children as they get older.
And I should also say this is just one pathway about how children may become depressed. There's probably several pathways, but we've known from other lines of research that kids who have behavior problems have a risk for becoming depressed later. Kids who have social problems have a risk for becoming depressed later. And so we had measures of all those characteristics in first grade as well. And we considered all those variables at that time, and then we looked at how depressed kids were, the same group of kids, in seventh grade. And we found even when we considered all those other factors, that academic competence, we measured that by reading and math skills on standardized tests. Academic competence in first grade, above and beyond those other variables, had this significant prediction of depression later.
They also found that girls who performed poorly in first grade had a greater risk for depression as adolescents.
We know that around the time of adolescence, girls have about twice the rate of depression as boys do. And in this study, we found that this effect was greater for girls, meaning academic competence had a greater impact on girls' likelihood of developing these negative beliefs about themselves and then in turn becoming depressed.
Along with reading and math, teachers and parents should honor skills in other areas, such as social skills, artistic skills, and how they respect others in their life.
We place so much emphasis on academics, especially reading and math skills in this country. I think that's important and helpful, but kids know that and they feel that pressure too. And so in that context of this pressure on academics, we still need to find time to be aware of and make children aware of that we value these other really important competencies in life. There's social skills, how they get along with other children, how they respect their friends and their teachers, artistic skills, other ways that children can have a positive influence on the world. We still need to be very attentive to those and show them that those are very valuable parts of being a successful person.
Children develop their self-concept early, and this sense of self is built on personal successes.
It starts even before school in their relationships with parents and with their siblings and peers in preschool. And this was really one of the main motivations for this study. We know that for adults and even adolescents, the most proximal cause of depression is the way that they view themselves and the way they interpret the world. Structured, predictable, warm family environments, not surprisingly, lead kids to believe that they're competent, that they're safe, and that they have some influence over the world. The idea that if I have some areas of competency, that serves as protection for me. And the two big ones are in the areas of academics and social skills.
Academic success and developing social skills are closely interconnected.
I think a lot of times schools, because of the pressures that they have to focus on academics, we tend to view academics and social life as somehow being separate, and the schools really not having the main role in helping socialize children, as we tend to put that off on the parents and the family. But the fact is, it's an artificial distinction, that how you're doing academically certainly has a huge influence on how you are socialized, how you come to view yourself. Your social skills, not surprisingly, also have an influence on how you do academically.
Teachers and administrators recognize a holistic view of the school environment leads to academic success.
I think there's been some major transformations in schools across the country in the last 10 years. The bullying interventions has been part of that, and I think there's a great school-wide intervention called positive behavior support. The importance of providing this positive environments, this structured environments, clear expectations, and positive consequences when children are being successful rather than just more the punitive environments. And what they're learning through this process is that the more they're able to reduce behavior problems at school, the more they're able to make environments predictable, is that it allows much more time for academics.
Herman explains the next step for his research.
I'm focusing on children right now aged 6 to 10, primarily because we don't have effective therapies for children who are depressed at that age. And so I'm working with local schools and taking referrals for entry into a small study in which we're just looking at if we identify kids early before they have serious depression and we give their parents support and creating the types of environments that we've found to be helpful in warding off depression and also working with them to be successful at school, we're going to evaluate whether that is helpful in reducing depressive symptoms for children.
Herman says he and his wife have developed a center designed to identify children at risk.
My wife, who's also a faculty member at the university, and I co-founded the Missouri Prevention Center just last year, and it's devoted towards this prevention and early intervention of depression as well as youth aggression, which is her research area. And so we just have a group of faculty members and graduate students who are working in the community. We're partnering with Head Start and other agencies where children are at more risk for some of these negative outcomes and trying to assist them to prevent those.
The study, Low Academic Competence in First Grade as a Risk Factor for Depressive Cognitions and Symptoms in Middle School, was published in the Journal of Counseling Psychology. I'm Debbie Johnson.